Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly, and welcome everybody once again for another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys some updated analysis inside of Ethereum and explaining why I believe we're about to see the biggest alt season that we've ever seen inside of a Bitcoin cycle. This is going to play out in a monster way, something we haven't seen up to this point, because there's going to be so much new money flooding into the markets from all of the retail investors ready to jump in. This is the point where we've all been waiting for, structuring our long-term portfolios, awaiting for all of this new influx of money so that we can capitalize and make the most profit in our portfolios as possible. Especially as we get closer towards the end of the year, it's important to understand where we're at in the cycle and where the altcoins are going to be actually topping at compared to Bitcoin. I've got all of the charts and analysis ready to share with you guys to keep you best informed so that we can all make the most profit at the end of the year as possible. If you're new and just finding this channel, always remember to do me a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel for more updates. Always remember to click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing videos like the one provided for you here. And make sure you guys sign up and join the Discord server of over 21,000 members and growing. Links are going to be provided for you in the description for the people that want to join my community and sign up. On top of that, if you're new and you want extra educational content, make better decisions inside the market, links are in the description to go ahead and download my free ebook and beginner's guide to crypto. So check it out. Links are in the description. And with all that being said, guys, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, so here we are for today's video. We're going to be taking a look at the cycles of Ethereum and comparing it to Bitcoin, and then we're going to also be diving into a few other charts that's going to kind of map out what we could expect to see as we get closer towards the end of the year. You know, a lot of people right now are really worried that we're not going to experience a blow off top at all. A lot of people are worried that, you know, all of this 4-year cycle analysis is wrong and that it's been invalidated. And so I figured today would be a great opportunity to actually compare what we're seeing and what we have seen inside of Ethereum, because this is going to help us to get a really good idea of what to be expecting really with where we're at in the cycle. Okay, so let's start off by talking about the 4-year bull. We're going to be analyzing the 4-year bull of Bitcoin as well as Ethereum. And the big point that I wanted to make here, guys, is really just analyzing how similar the price structure itself is, how similar this cycle for Bitcoin back in 2013 to 2017 was, and then vice versa, how it looks compared to this most recent Ethereum cycle that we're still in today. Now, if you guys notice all the way over here, this was Bitcoin in 2012. We made this massive run up into new all-time highs, big parabolic rally, and then we got this short-term blow off top. We went through a few months of sideways consolidation, and that's what led us to our final blow off top that took us all the way up to about $1,150. And that was where we got our cycle top at the end of 2013. And this is very, very, very much the same type of consolidation that we see today inside of Ethereum. We almost saw the exact same even consolidation pattern. You know, Ethereum made itself this ascending triangle formation before we got to the blow off top. Bitcoin really didn't make an ascending triangle, but it is still the same sort of consolidation. We got this midway cycle cool off after a massive move into new all-time highs. This happened both here in Ethereum as well as up here inside of Bitcoin. And then we went through a few months of consolidation. In fact, if we get a date tool over here, from the top of that move all the way until we started breaking out, it was about 190 days worth of consolidation. Whereas in Ethereum, it was very similar. This one was about 160 days approximately worth of accumulation. So this one was about 30 days less, and then we got this blow off top. But nonetheless, it shows how similar these cycles really are. And this is one of the big reasons why I've had this $20,000 Ethereum price target, is because of how correlated the price is just to the last Bitcoin cycle that we saw. We both peaked at roughly the same price. Ethereum peaked here at about 1,450. Bitcoin peaked at about 1,150. Bitcoin had 1 year worth of a downtrend in the bear market, as indicated by these lines, and we can see that Ethereum was pretty much the same way. This bear market was about a month shorter. This bear market was about a month longer. And so there is some differences, but overall, it's almost the same sort of consolidation. What's really interesting to me is how identical both of these cycles look in the bear market. You know, the bull market looks the same, but then when we compare the bear market, look at this. This is our first lower high that we make inside of that bear trend. It looks identical to what we saw here play out inside of Ethereum. That's what led us to this next short-term support. We get this bounce again. we reject, and then this is what takes us to our final sell-off in that bear cycle. Both of these played out in the exact same way. There's almost no difference here. The big difference comes inside of the bear market. So what we saw inside of Bitcoin, the Bitcoin price really just went sideways for 180 days. It really didn't do hardly anything besides consolidate within this short-term range for 180 days that it went sideways. Whereas Ethereum, it actually went sideways a lot longer. In fact, Ethereum went sideways for, 580 days, almost 600 days that we went sideways. But it still did the same exact sort of chart setup here. It made the same bottom formation where we made our first low, we rally up, get rejected. Same thing happens here. Then this is our sideways support. We rally back up again, get rejected. Same thing happened there. And then COVID was really the same as our final fake out that we saw back in 2015. And then this is where Bitcoin literally just started making higher highs and higher lows inside of the new bull trend. And that's what takes us into year 3, into year 4 of these 4-year cycle timeframes, right? And so we do see some difference. Bitcoin went sideways for 180 days. Ethereum went sideways for 580 days. So there was obviously a lot longer period of sideways accumulation. But the thing that we did notice as a difference here is even though Bitcoin went sideways for a shorter period of time, it barely started going up in its uptrend. It made higher highs and higher lows, but it mainly just barely went uptrending. There really wasn't a ton of uptrend. It wasn't massive impulses. It was short impulses and then a lot of sideways accumulation. Short impulses, sideways accumulation. Whereas once Ethereum actually broke out of this range, it just pretty much went parabolic. So obviously there's going to be some differences between the cycles, but that's not the point. The point is to share with you guys just how close these really are to being the same sort of chart. And we follow the same time frames. The price structure can look a little bit different, but just the same way as we followed the 4-year bull up here in Bitcoin's price, we did the same thing for Ethereum. We can see that we get these 3 years, really 4 years, but we're only going to be looking at 3 years inside of this chart right here. We're looking at year 1, which is the bear market. We're looking at year 2, which is the accumulation. And then we're looking at year 3, which is the end of accumulation and pretty much the breakout of the previous all-time high. And then year 4 is where we get the blow off top, right? This is almost the exact same thing Ethereum's doing today. We've already seen the 1-year bear market. We've already seen the 1 year of accumulation. We've already finished the year 3, which is the breakout of the all-time high. And so we're literally just inside of this year 4 awaiting the final rise in this cycle. Now, this is why I wanted to come back over here and actually talk about this chart that I have drawn, because this is going to give you guys pretty much the same thing I just shared with you, but it's going to give it to you guys in a little bit of a different way. Now, this is pretty much the way that the 4-year bull is going to line up. Year 1, like I said, is the bear market. Year 2 is accumulation. Year 3 is when we start actually breaking the all-time highs. We've seen, in year 3 of Bitcoin's 2017 cycle, we pretty much hit the all-time highs and then pulled back, but we were right there around the all-time highs, getting ready to break them by the time this year 4 rolled around. This most recent cycle in Ethereum, we actually broke the all-time highs at the very, very end of year 3 and the beginning of year 4. So this is still pretty much right on path to what we saw in 2017. The only difference here is now that we're at this point in the cycle, if we zoom it out here, we can see that we've already broke out of the all-time highs, and then we got this big correction. Now, just inside of 2017, we did the same thing. We broke all-time highs, and then we had this correction. The exact low of that correction was in July. The same thing happened again during this move here. The only real difference here is in 2017, Bitcoin made a higher high. It got its sell-off. It bottomed in July, and then it made another new all-time high, pulled back on the previous high, and then we went into another move into price discovery, right? So there is a difference here. Ethereum never made another all-time high like this, and it's not doing something like that. It actually made another move up to the all-time highs and then pulled back. So I still think we're very similar, but obviously the price structure itself is a little bit different. We're not immediately going back into new all-time highs, and so it is lagging slightly, but I don't think it really matters, and that's the big point I'm trying to make here. Even though we haven't actually made another brand new all-time high, I mean, we technically have, but I'm just saying, even though this move itself didn't make a new all-time high like we saw in 2017, the time frames are still the same. It's still following the same time frames. There's really not much that's changed. The only real difference here is we're actually getting a cup and handle formation, which, if you guys remember what I've talked about often on this channel, the cup and handle is going to be one of the most bullish chart setups that we can find. We have the top of the cup here, we have the base of the cup, the bowl, and then we get this handle. Once we flip the top of the resistance, the cup, that's where we get the continuation of that, which is exactly what we've seen. Notice how we pulled back onto the previous resistance, and then we immediately got this big green candle. That's because there's a lot of buy support. And so we're at the early stages of seeing this cup and handle breakout onto the upside. In fact, we've already broken out of it. We're about to see it actually go into price discovery. And so even though we've lagged a little bit compared to 2017, even though 2017 was already going up again, even if we compare it to 2013, Bitcoin had already topped by this point in the cycle. There is some differences here, but when we look at the big picture of the cycles, when we zoom out of this 4-year bull pattern, we know that we're still pretty much on path. We've already finished the 3 years worth of accumulation that led us to the breakout of the all-time high. And so we're literally just in this final year 4 of the cycle, where historically it takes us to the final blow off top. I believe that we're still at that point, and we will actually get that. The only difference that we've seen is we had one big run up into year 4, and then we had this big pullback. And so we've pretty much just been accumulating, awaiting to build up enough momentum to actually break back out of this little short-term correction that we saw. We've already flipped the all-time highs, and now we're getting this green candle. It's perfectly showing what I've always thought was going to happen. I've always believed we were going to be flipping out of this market, specifically this short-term correction, and we're going to be going into a massive move. I think that we're awaiting that big move coming, and it's going to happen a lot quicker than people realize. $10,000 for Ethereum really isn't that far away. It's going to come a lot quicker than people even think it will. And I'm excited to see this actually play out, because here's the thing, guys. We know that historically we're at this point where we're going to historically see a topping point. We saw it happen early November in 2013. We saw it happen mid-December inside of 2017. We're getting close to those same end of the year time frames, and the only real difference is we haven't seen that big blow off top. I think that when it happens, it's going to happen really, really fast, because it has to. If we're going to be topping around the end of the year, this thing's going to have to immediately start breaking out within December, even into January. And so those are the real two important months that we're going to be paying a lot of attention for as we get closer towards wrapping up the end of the year timeframes. But one chart that I really wanted to share with you guys that I think is really important, that perfectly shows why we're about to see such a monster move in Ethereum, is the actual ETH BTC pair. So guys, I talk about this a lot because I think it's really important. If we see Ethereum BTC going up, meaning Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin, that means their altcoins as a whole are going to be having an alt season. Whenever the ETH BTC pair outperforms, we always see altcoins do well as a whole. And so this chart itself is showing that we're about to see a big move coming. And I've been updating you guys with this for a while at this point. And my big thesis as to why was mainly talking about how long we've been inside of this accumulation. We've had this massive rounded bottom formation. This is the type of accumulation pattern that we see right before a big move actually takes place. This is years worth of sideways accumulation. And if we draw a date tool, we're going to be able to know exactly how long. From there until, about like here, it was almost 1,000 days worth of sideways accumulation. It was like 950 days that we went sideways. And this is just one big, rounded bottom formation. You could also draw this as an inverse head and shoulder formation. Either way, we've broken out of the resistance. This was the resistance right here. We've broken out from that. This was this big range that we've been in, and this most recent move that we saw to the upside was us breaking outside of that. And so really we've only ever had one impulse inside of this accumulation, and it was right here. And so now we're at this really interesting point where we are now starting to see this pattern breaking out once again. And this will look something like, you could draw it like a triangle, I guess. It really doesn't matter so much. That's not what's to be important. What's important is that we are breaking outside of this consolidation pattern. We've been in here for a few months. Now that we're breaking out of it, we really don't have a lot of resistance left. I mean, we could draw the wicks and even the all-time highs, but to be quite honest, I don't think that these are going to be holding a lot of weight when this thing actually starts to go parabolic. With the length of accumulation that we've seen, and this being our first breakout from that range, this move that is to be coming should be expected to be a big one. And that's honestly what I think is going to be playing out. In the same way that we saw these type of moves play out in the last cycle, I believe that that is what we're going to get. It's going to be one big elongated move to the upside. And my personal target has always been 0.3. I think that we could very easily see ETH come all the way up here to a 0.3 valuation. It would end up looking something along the lines of this. It's going to be one giant type of move to the upside. something like this, right? It doesn't have to be 100% exact, but something like this, where we get one more big move, we probably retest around these all-time highs, we throw up some type of consolidation pattern, and then that's what takes us to our final blow off top, which is going to meet us around somewhere between 0.3 ETH to BTC is my guess. I don't really truly know, but I've always thought that we could hit a 0.3 ETH per BTC. I've just always kind of thought that that was a realistic target, and it would make sense because of the type of move that we would expect to see with Ethereum. If Ethereum's going to be going upwards of 20,000 to close out the end of the year, then we would expect this type of a move because Bitcoin's already so expensive. You know, Bitcoin's not going to be able to outperform Ethereum because it takes so much less money to go into Ethereum compared to Bitcoin to see those type of returns in Ethereum. And so I fully expect a massive alt season as we get close to the end of the year. We've already seen a number of altcoins taking off over the last couple months. This number is going to intensify. It's going to increase, especially as more retail investors come into the market. We're already starting to see a lot more bullish sentiment, bullish news coming out, big people talking about their crypto investment, which has kind of already been a staple over the last year or so, but we're starting to see it in a bigger force between famous people, between celebrities, between athletes, things like that. We're seeing a lot of optimism inside the market, and I do believe that we're going to see something like this play out. And so, guys, I wanted to give you guys this update as a way to map out just how basically this really isn't very different from what we've seen up to this point. The price structure can vary, but when we look at the time frames, the time frames are once again showing that this really isn't that different. Whether we compare this current cycle to the last Bitcoin cycle or whatever we look at it, we can see that the time frames are still holding true. There hasn't been any sort of major deviation from this. We followed every single time frame, the rules of the time frames up to this point almost identically. And so I still fully expect we're going to continue to top at the end of the year. It could be, mid-January. It could be the end of January when we get that exact cycle top as a whole, when the total market cap tops. I don't really know exactly, and I don't care so much to nail the exact cycle top with the time frames. The big thing is what we're going to be watching for is a big move into price discovery. We're going to be looking for a parabolic type of rally like we saw in 2017, like we saw in 2013. The best strategy from here is understanding that we know that we're at the close point where we need to take profits based off of time frames. Now the big thing is waiting for the price action to line up with that. When we see the market going into a massive type of move into price discovery, very parabolic price action, that's when we're going to want to be looking to sell. So I'll keep you guys updated. If you found value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing videos. If you guys want to join the Discord server, download my free ebook. Links are in the description for that. If you guys want to actually sign up for my VIP, follow the trades that I take, see all of this analysis, as well as where I'm going to be diversifying my crypto profits at the end of the year into stocks, commodities, things like that. If you guys just simply want to follow what I'm doing with my money, all the trades that I take, it's gonna get taught to you guys inside of the Discord server in the VIP group. Check it out. Links are going to be provided for you in the description. Go ahead and sign up. Thank you all so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys inside of that group. With that being said, I will catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.